The following episode of the Carnival of Randomness is sponsored by an important message to you, the people, from Upsitnik and Associates. Every day there are forces that are taking from you, stealing from you. Your money, your time, your freedom. Immense faceless corporations, banks, credit card companies, insurance providers, government agencies, this list goes on and on. When you are under attack and facing crisis, turn to us, Upsitnik and Associates, attorneys for you, the people. When every day becomes a battle, we can advise and assist. We have been advocates for 40 years. Email us through upsitnikslaw.com or call us at 1-866-391-3299 or reach out to us through Upsitnik and Associates on Facebook for a prompt, no obligation communication and consultation. Don't be pushed around.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Carnival of Randomness. And this one's different because you're dreaming this one. You're asleep, and we're in the dreaming. God. And you're dreaming, Zach, which I'm very sorry for.
You know what? I don't know what horrifying thing you did in the universe to make you dream about me, but
we dreamt up some really good guests. We popped them out of their dreams here in their sleep. Hi, MJ.
Hi.
Hi, Alexis.
Hello.
You might remember them from previous podcasts as this one.
And hello, Caitlin, who was almost here but got lost in the ether somewhere.
You know what? Yeah, let's start with that. We attempted the Skype thing. Skype can suck it.
But Caitlin, love you. We'll have you on when we figure things out. And we're actually going to talk, because we're in dreams, about Neil Gaiman and maybe some Tori Amos. And we're going to talk a lot about Sandman. And I actually had an opening question for everybody. Maybe Zach, you're worthless probably in this one. But
I'm worthless
if you
in
could be
I'm
one of
worthless
the
in a lot of
endless, who
things.
would you be? I guarantee you, I won't be able to get this one.
You go first.
Oh, me? Okay. Okay, the thing is, if I could choose, I'd be Death, but the reality is that I'm probably Dream.
Yeah.
That's just what it is. I've thought about it a lot.
Well, I would say I would love to be Death, but I'd be Delirium.
I think it would be fun to be Desire, but
I got it. I figured
I'm
that.
definitely Morpheus. I mean, I'm
yeah.
so Morpheus. It's
Yeah, you are. You are.
insane.
I know so many friends who've gone dressed as Death, though. Nobody dressed as Morpheus.
Well, that's the thing. You latch on to one particular one, and you somehow think that they're the better of all of them. But in reality, they were all really good.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the thing is, to be Morpheus, you have to, I'd have to buy a long dark coat. I'd have to paint it with the faces in the clouds.
Oh, yeah.
And you'd have to be Lawrence Fishburne.
Oh, exactly.
Would you ever notice that in the art of it, where sometimes you'll look, and if you pay attention to the panels, the cloak changes?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
And I love those small details like that.
The art is so good. So phenomenal.
And the
just
idea of
throughout.
Sandman, if you go back, Neil did a little work. They were almost going to have him write Swamp Thing. Then they had an opening, and they thought about, well, he's done a couple.
Yeah,
but they
if he
thought,
would've
okay,
taken it
let's
from
do
the helm.
this. And then they took it. There's an old character in Sandman, Jack Kirby did in the 70s. And Neil just took it and ran with it a different way. And what they do, in the second story, Game of You, they show how they take the old Sandman, what this was. And I think I remember he thought he was a Sandman. Because what happens at the beginning of the series, Morpheus is in exile. He's been captured by these evil British guys, because British guys are good villains.
Of course.
Well, no, that's
Especially in the 1920s.
that's the thing. They've always been the good.
And the first storyline with him is he gets away, he does bad things to them, and then he has to rebuild his kingdom. So the first 7 issues or so are him, Fish Stories, rebuilding Dream.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I read it. It was phenomenal. And I think that's a one thing about, especially that one of all Neil's stuff, is not only was the writing good, but man, did he find some great artists.
Yeah.
I'm wondering if there was like fights to see who's going to be drawing for Neil.
I like
There
to
have to have
think
been.
maybe what he did was he looked at the story and he thought who would fit it.
Well, there's that too.
Because I do know Sam Keith and him had a falling out, unfortunately.
Oh.
Well,
He did. But then I think it really caught on with number 8, Sound of Your Wings, with Death. Because at first you're sitting there, who is this? It's his sister. And you're just really slowly realizing they're doing all these sort of things come to life, sort of, the endless. And Neil said people have come up to him and think this is a real religion.
Well,
I mean, crazier religions have popped up than that.
But I'll ask him, we'll
I
jump
won't
around
say
to all
any.
these things, but what did you two think of the Shakespearean one, when they do the Midsummer Night's
Midsummer.
Dream?
I love that one. It's a great tie-in to, okay, we're going to perform Midsummer for a bunch of fairies. Of course, because they really exist. And it's I think, what Shakespeare would have wanted.
I'll do this. There, I killed the fairy. You don't believe in fairy, you killed Tinkerbell!
Oh, well, she deserved it.
She's kind of an asshole.
But she is, actually. Right? Yeah.
Yeah.
No, to tangent off that, it's weird. The ones we're supposed to love actually turn out to be assholes. You know the biggest asshole in cartoons is Bugs Bunny.
Well, we knew that.
Yeah.
Guy's
Come
a
on.
dick.
Yeah.
But I wondered, like, did he make it for his son? Because did he have a son called Hammett? Because remember he said...
Shakespeare?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
And
because that's what he said, like he did it for him. Because for me, this goes off the point of, because we're talking all Neil Gaiman, we're sort of focusing on Sandman. One of my favorite stories of all time that I've read over and over is from Books of Magic, Land of Summer's Twilight. That's when you don't know this one?
I don't know it either, yeah.
You both, I will send this to you.
Oh, please do.
I will
love
send you.
Vegas.
Have to get this because it's Neil, and it's about Tim Hunnard. Tim Hunnard's this little boy with glasses who has an owl, and he's a magician. And I can't imagine who got a little bit of an idea from that. And actually, the story goes that Neil says, nah, he was very diplomatic. He said that, no, we all got the idea from Once and Future King. But I guess they paid him a little and said, look, I mean, Harry Potter makes a hell of a lot more than Books of Magic. So, but the kid, he goes to Land of Summer Twilight Fairy, and it's like one of the best stories I've ever read by him. And you can get it probably cheap too, so I'll send you a thing.
I think I got it out of the library, actually.
Yeah, you can get it out of your library.
Yeah.
I'm not
I'm
allowed to
pretty
go
sure-
to the library yet.
Oh.
I still owe them a lot of money. Don't tell them I'm here.
So you're the reason that the libraries are going under.
I'm actually single-handedly financing the library. Every time I get $20, I'm like, I guess I'll go to the library and hand them something so that someday I'll be able to get out a book again.
But continuing
been
on
like
to,
6 years.
do you have, like, a lot of people think Seasons of the Mist is the best story.
The thing is, I read them all from, like, the big books, the omnibus, the first time I read them, so I never learned the names of any of them.
But that's the one where it's the
weird.
keys to hell.
So that
Lucifer
one,
gives
that
you
one was
the
my
keys to hell.
favorite. That
That's
one
a
was
good
my
one.
favorite.
I will inform you because I'm bad like that
No,
too.
that's a good
but I
one.
used to-
No, that was my favorite, I think.
My favorite is the one in the diner, the 24-hour,
with Dr.
horror.
D?
Yeah.
And they
It's-
can't get out of their dreams or anything?
Yeah. It's just horrifying and grotesque, and I read it when I was, like, a child. And I was like, this is awful, but it was so interesting to me.
Yeah.
I don't know why.
And the way he does it, he breaks the ruby and it frees him.
Yeah.
Because that's why it's always with Neil, too. It's never what you think it's going to be. It's not like the standard story or anything.
But that's good, because when you're doing something like that, you don't want it to be the standard story. You don't want somebody to say, oh, I know what's going to happen.
Right.
Well, I was wrong.
Yeah.
You know? You don't want them to be able to guess it, otherwise why would they read it?
Even he didn't, too, because the way it goes, I guess he had it made out for 40 issues and it ran to 75. They kept
Wow.
getting stories.
Yeah. And all of them were really good.
Yeah.
But that Midsummer Night's Dream one, when I came across that one, I'm like, what the hell? I liked it, but it kind of was like, okay.
But why not?
Yeah, he's just like, all right.
Makes sense.
I'll roll with it.
Now, that one, then they did Brief Lives, which is another one.
Yeah.
But you all got slowly introduced to his family, and I still swear I see Annie Lennox as Desire.
Of course.
Well, didn't he say that?
Yes.
Yeah.
And you heard about his thing was history, too. Like Emperor Norton, the Emperor of America, he was a
that
real guy.
Yeah, he was. That guy was... that was an interesting footnote in history, I think.
Yeah, he was a guy. He went around San Francisco,
Yeah, I
and
was
they
gonna
just
say
made
he
him
was-
emperor.
Yeah. He was the unofficial Emperor of America. Like, he had, like, a sash, and I think there's plaques still.
They give him a
dedicated-
plaque, and people would give him, people would actually give him money when they saw him.
Yeah.
And that's the thing where he really takes off Desire, because Desire's messing with him, and he just says his madness makes him happy. Should be around these days.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
Yeah.
That would be... Can you imagine the comic they could make about today?
I don't want to, Matt.
Oh, it'd be hilarious.
Sure that
Actually,
people
no,
are.
no,
It wouldn't
because
be hilarious yet.
no writer, regardless of their skill level, could do it justice. Because
Nobody believe it.
You always hear the old thing, truth is stranger than fiction. You don't really believe it until you run across a story that somebody told you about what happened to them that is so ridiculous that you're like, even if this happened in a movie, I'd have trouble believing it.
Well, what did Neil do? He said he didn't go to college. He just read everything. And he's it's just the knowledge he has of everything and all these subjects is amazing. And I think he goes back to the power of myth with Joseph Campbell, and you can see a lot of that.
Yeah.
Which a lot of things that Star Wars steals lots from that.
Well, I mean, it's not even stealing. It's just like, that's how you tell a story.
Yeah.
That's,
Well, just
and it is powerful.
Yeah, and remember, if you steal from one person, it's plagiarism. If you steal from a bunch of people, it's research.
Right.
Exactly.
But the worst part, and I wondered too how it would go out with the kindly ones, because that's the one with the Furies coming down on him, because he finds his son finally. Remember, he finds his son, and then he has to kill him, just like they had Orpheus and Eurydice, so then they had to do that. And then they can bring the Furies down on the Eumenides and everything. And how he dies, but he doesn't die.
Yeah, isn't that always the way? You die, but you don't die.
Now, and what'd you think of that? Like, in terms of, like, then Daniel's the new Morpheus? He just wears a white cloak, he's the same guy?
It was, I think I cried.
Really?
Yeah. It's embarrassing. I cried. Because it was, well, I mean, Daniel was such a, like, sweet little kid. And I loved him. From the second that kid was introduced, every time they went back and he was playing with Goldie, I was like, yeah, look at this little kid.
Which
and then,
means you knew something horrible was going to happen.
No, I didn't. That's the thing, is I didn't. It was already bad enough, and he was just kind of hanging out, and it was bad. I cried, because I'm a baby.
No, I was, too, like The Wake, and I thought the art for The Wake was this the one with the funeral.
Devastating. But I mean, in a way, it makes sense. And then Morpheus is just like, well, I guess I'm done. It's over.
And his sister just says, take my hand, and that's...
That'd be that.
Well, I cried. I have the thing when he killed one of his gargoyles. When the Furies did.
Yeah.
They had to bury him. And they come to dream, because they incorporate a lot of things. They have the guys from the House of Mystery there, the librarian.
Oh, God, that's right.
And he really, remember, he's the Prince of Stories. Dreaming, nights
Right.
dreaming. So that's why a lot of it, like with that, he can go anywhere with them. It's fantastic.
Yeah.
But today, did you read The Dream Hunters? That's this graphic novel.
No,
Japanese
I've heard
artist.
Of it. I've heard of
cool.
it.
Yeah. Or some of the Death Solo stories.
Those are some of my favorites.
Well, talk. What do you think of
So
those?
good. The High Cost of Living is my favorite. Then that's the one that really got me hooked.
Yeah. And I guess she was based on one of his friends, Cinnamon, and she passed away a couple years ago.
I remember hearing about it.
Yeah.
Oh, that's sad.
Which is a real person and everything. But I remember seeing friends of mine. It's like I remember seeing a friend of mine on Halloween say, "You're death." It's like, thank you. You think I'm a goth girl.
Yeah.
Which is one of those things, I suppose, because she looks like that.
Yeah.
You know, she doesn't look like, death or whatever else. But that's the way he did it. But I think they fit their archetypes. And the missing, I figured out it was destruction. Was the missing sibling when they go looking for him.
Every so often, I'll be like, wait a minute, there's supposed to be 7. And I'll, like, try to count the ones that I know. And I'm like, do we ever actually, like, I forget that we don't. Thank you.
Yeah, because Delirium wants to find him. And
Right.
Delirium's hilarious because the way they do Delirium with all these little...
The fish.
Yeah.
I'd love to go to a con as Delirium and just carry around, like, fish balloons. I would. I was thinking about it the other day for no reason.
We should do it.
Great. Let me live.
We just do your hair all different colors
Yeah.
and everything else.
I'd have to get 2 mismatched contacts because that's kind of important.
Those
Yeah, it's
hurt,
very
those
important.
sometimes.
Yeah.
I've
I've heard that they're
those.
really painful.
Very
Could you do the
annoying.
talk, though? Like the way she does her talk where it's...
Yeah, to just kind of trail off into, yeah.
Yeah.
That's absolutely.
It's
I'd
me
mess
all-
with
it's
everyone.
me all
I'd
the
mess
time.
with everyone.
Yeah, that's pretty much how I am all the time, too. So it's pretty much the same. She's got her little balloons in her hair color and everything. But yeah, it's the sort of the pivotal storyline where she wants to find her brother.
She was a fun character.
Yeah.
Just
Yeah.
a fun character. One that probably doesn't get as much attention as she deserves.
No, but she could be really powerful, too.
Oh, God,
That's
yeah.
the thing, but you don't really expect it 'cause she's this little girl who seems a little bit lost.
Yeah. But yet, the power of what? What would you call it? The power of the ages? Or something that she contains and could unleash if she really wanted to?
Probably. But it's amazing going from there and when he did this to what Neil's gone on to do and everything. And one of the ones I still like is Mirror Mask.
I like that one.
Some people have called it the Dark Crystal on acid.
It's really weird. I watched it in high school on a little iPod. because I was in a study hall and I was looking through the stuff my friend had put on my iPod, and I was like, okay, I guess. And then I literally sat and watched it between all of my classes for the rest of the day, and I was like, Caitlin, this is so good. And she was like, yeah, I told you it was.
The little cats with faces.
Yeah. So ominous. So creepy.
I like the way it was done. You've seen it, right?
I've not.
Oh, you haven't?
No.
Now you have to.
Now you have to.
Yeah.
But it's kind of weird because it's typical Neil. It's almost like his book, Mr. Punch, where there's a kid by a town, his mom, problems, and then he goes into this world. And isn't it his mom or something like the symbolism, the queen there or something?
I don't remember exactly. I know that it's always a mom problem. That's very interesting.
Because if
What are you talking about, Neil?
It's one
What's going on
graphic.
there?
It's one graphic novel. Mr. Punch is just weird.
Most of Neil's stuff is.
That
just
one's beyond,
weird.
though. That's like, I suppose you have to be English, too, because those Mr. Punch shows
Right.
are all very, very British, and it's done with really strange
Punch
art and
yeah.
everything. And it's just hard to follow it. It's like he calls it his dandelion wine, because he said he really liked dandelion wine, but he said, when I was a kid, I didn't believe in all this magical stuff. This is more realistic. But then came to American Gods.
American Gods.
Which I like. It's the only time I'll ever admit that I will accept a blend of mythologies.
Yes.
Because every other time they've tried to do it, it's been a complete and utter disaster. What was that shitty ass, no offense to him because I'm scared of him, Liam Neeson movie where he unleashed the Kraken?
Clash of the Titans.
Yeah, what a
That sounds
pile of... So you have Liam Neeson as Zeus, if I'm correct, unleashing the Kraken from Norse mythology.
And they're djinns.
Oh, yeah, the djinns are there, and Hades is this little Weasley guy who just kind of cowers from everything. It's like, are you kidding me?
Well, I hate, one of my pet peeves is when people say they're going to gin things up and spell it Jin. It's gin because you're calling up a gin.
Yeah, DJINN.
DGINN.
That's where
Yeah.
genie
Yeah.
comes from.
Yeah.
It was the ancient
Right.
Arabic demons,
Right.
and we bastardized them to mean wish-giving blue things out of
Yeah.
a lamp.
Yeah.
Yeah, the jinn. They were... If you read old Arabic mythology, they were terrifying things.
And weren't they based on the elements?
Yes.
Am I getting that right?
Yep.
Yeah. There
Yeah.
was
There was like a fire djinn. And,
fire, sand, wind,
Yeah.
water. Yeah, they were scary
It's
shit.
actually a concept that's not Neil, but talking about something related. I'm really surprised he didn't come up with the concept for Fables. Because Fables is basically all the Fable characters have been drawn into our universe. And it
Which
seems
I
so
think,
Neil-y.
which is fantastic, by the way. It is a fantastic thing.
I love how Prince Charming's a jerk.
Well, and they actually made some
Oh,
pretty.
maybe.
They made some pretty good video games. Telltale did before they went pear-shaped, and went bankrupt because apparently they don't know how to manage money.
Yeah.
But they made games about fables where you had like all the characters were living in the town and they were different things. And who was it? The Big Bad Wolf was trying.
Big B Wolf. He was like a
Big B
detective.
Wolf. He was the detective, and he's trying to solve the murder of who got murdered? Was it Snow White?
No, his sister.
Yeah, somebody. But
And then one of the three little pigs got murdered.
yeah, it was just.
Hey.
That's terrible.
It's
But
awful.
it was
Come
just.
on. It's
It was
basically
really
a
cool.
story about eating people. They were going to get eaten anyway.
Well, a lot of those old stories are scary when
yeah.
you read the real
Yeah.
things.
That's why they
They're
told
like
them.
horrifying.
Yeah, they weren't there to delight children.
No.
They were there to terrify children and keep them in line so they didn't
Exactly.
go outside.
Right.
Like the Little Mermaid. That's horrifying.
A lot of those Han Christian Andersen stories are terrifying.
No, like,
Yeah.
because like the way they he has her describe the feeling of the legs turning or the tail turning into the legs, about like the searing pain of fiery knives. Like that wasn't in
Casual
that
Tuesday.
wasn't in the cartoon.
Does anybody have like a favorite novel of Neil's?
Favorite novel? I am really into his short stories, but I do
I
like
count those.
The Ocean at the End of the Lane.
Yeah.
Then, okay, if we're counting short stories, Fragile Things is my favorite collection of his. I've had like 6 copies over the years because I keep giving it to people because I'm like, okay, great, you need to read this.
Remember, I
I
got Smoke
love
and
it.
Mirrors, his first one.
Yeah.
And there's a real nasty poem about Santa Claus called Nicholas Was. Nicholas was old as sin, and it goes on.
I vaguely
Ho, ho,
remember
ho.
I have a copy of it. I don't know if I've ever actually read it, though.
Because the first one I ever read was Troll Bridge. It was a story about he meets a troll.
Yes. Oh, I remember it. Vaguely. I think the troll's the only thing I remember about it.
Basically,
Doesn't he become the troll?
He meets a troll, and what happens is the troll's sad at the end because things... And I guess the person becomes the troll.
Yeah. You know, that's the best way to describe a story. It's just like, oh, right.
Yeah,
and
it's
then
like,
he's sad, there's a troll. Excellent, I know.
Because I have the ocean at the end of the lane. I have not read it, but I have a copy of it.
That one is actually like a novel. It's kind of,
I know a lot of people...
autobiographical, like about his childhood
I think
in a way.
a lot of people don't really like that one from what I've heard. Or not as much as other things that he's done.
Makes sense. When I first read it, it instilled in me just a sense of dread that I haven't felt since childhood.
Oh, fantastic.
Like, I don't know, you go through reading it, and I, as I remember, everything kind of works out for the kid, but, like, as he's realizing things through the lens of a child, you just have this overwhelming sense of, like, this is awful. Like, something just wrong, in the most fundamental sense, about what this kid is going through.
He's got a way of blending things, too, where you go one way, you start, and you think this could be funny, and it's not, and then something happens. It's like the Graveyard Book.
Yes. You're like, oh, wow, that's really devastating. And he's just got a bunch of friends in a graveyard. He's just hanging out.
Yeah.
He's fine.
Yeah, that one, that one was interesting. I liked the Graveyard Book quite a bit.
I know one that's freaked out some people's, Coraline.
Yeah.
Dude. Did you see the movie?
No, I actually haven't.
The movie was very good.
It was very well done.
The movie was very good. I actually saw the movie first, and then
Me too.
And then I read the graphic novel. Like, wow, this is equally as creepy. Because it was kind of creepy with the button eyes and the... Ooh. I think... What about you? What's your top one?
I don't know. Maybe still, I really like American Gods. I love mythology. Because I love...
Yeah, I love it all because it's like so many deities that you don't think of.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you know, you're going through, it's like, oh, holy shit. And I think the TV show did it justice, or has been doing it justice.
I haven't seen the second season, but I loved the first one. They did really well with it.
Yes, and anytime you can cast Ian McShane in anything.
Oh, God, he's amazing.
You know, and spoiler alert, he's Odin, and he makes it... But even if you didn't know, come on, Mr. Wednesday...
One Eye,
think about it. Every day of the week is named for a Norse god, and Wednesday is his.
Yeah.
But just the end of that... I was at the end of the first season when he just toasts every single one of Esther's guards and just screams, I am Odin. It's like, oh, shit is going to happen in the next season.
And they use, like, the god, because I was wondering how he was going to get out of it. At the end, he owes him his head, or a chop of the axe.
Oh, with Chernobog?
Yeah.
No, I think in the show it was the hammer.
Yeah.
Because he lost the chess game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Peter Stormare, who is Chernobog, is probably one of the best things in the universe right now. And goddamn, it was good.
And they did one, actually. Michael Chabon wrote a book called Summerland. It reminds me about him a lot. It's one of the ones that's sort of similar in a way. It takes the same concept. Mm-hmm. But, you know, the one thing I don't think Neil's done well on a lot of his Marvel books, though. If anybody's ever even read them.
I've read a couple of them. They were good, but...
I don't know if I have.
I don't think I have.
No, 1602, where he tries to, like, imagine the characters.
That one kind of hurt me a little bit. It wasn't very good. I mean, the concept was great, but just for some reason it didn't fly with me.
Because there were rumors he was going to write Doctor Strange, but he didn't. And have you ever heard his idea about his death movie, how he's glad it never got made?
Yeah. I mean, I've heard that with a lot of the things, he is pretty much glad that they haven't existed so far.
Years ago, I used to get Mageean line. Think about it, it's Neil Gaiman. But this is before he was super, super popular. It's like a little fanzine he did. And he's talking about there was going to be a movie, and he wanted Daniel Day-Lewis to play Morpheus.
Yes.
Oh, that would be dope.
Daniel Day-Lewis should have played every character in that movie.
No, I agree.
Well, hey, you know, Sir Daniel, when he comes out of retirement again, because he will. I don't know what he's up to now, but we all know what happened the last time he retired.
Yeah.
He went to Italy, learned to make shoes for 3 years, then decided to come back and continue being awesome.
Yeah.
But can you imagine
I get
him...
really bored making shoes.
He loved it, I think. I
mean,
think
it's
he just
probably
wanted
great for a
he just
while.
wanted to get away from everything. But you think about it, that man method acting death.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
that would be.
Oh, great! Somebody's gonna
Yeah.
come along, take my
Excellent.
hand, go in the back.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know how I feel about that.
But
Oh,
if
it'd
you
be
want
awesome.
how scary things are, okay, if you heard this one, the last rumor for a Sandman movie, Joseph Gordon-Levitt is Morpheus.
I
He's
would.
not a bad actor.
He's not a bad actor. It just doesn't seem right to me.
Right. Agreed.
It's like having Keanu Reeves as John Constantine.
See, at least Keanu Reeves is a decent human being.
But
unlike
the
most
thing
of the
about
other
it is there's
actors.
some characters that quintessentially, it's like for Doctor Who, Jodie's fine, she's British if you're Scottish, but you won't want an American playing, I don't think.
I see. I
Peter
disagree.
Dinklage, though.
I disagree. I think an American could
want
do
him
it
as
if
the
they
next
get the right
Doctor?
American.
Well, you could, yeah, you want to be, yeah, we all want to be.
No, if they get the right American, I think he could do it. But the British are too goddamn pompous.
I don't know. It's like James Bond. I
I mean, for
my-
God's
my
sake,
new
they will
theory
never.
of Bond.
They
is
won't
that's
have a
a
black
code
Bond.
name.
Yeah, that
It's
was
a
my
code
theory.
name. So, because how could this person be in the 50s?
Well, that's I've lumped it under my Dread Pirate Roberts theory from The Princess Bride.
Yeah.
You know, Cody says, "I am not the first Dread Pirate Roberts. I got it from the other guy. Who got it from the guy before him? Who got it from the..."
Well, I
And that's
also
the thing.
think my own view on the Bond films, they were just like male fantasies for years. The guy,
Oh,
yeah.
obviously,
Clearly.
with the cars and the womanizing and all the other
But
stuff.
what it is it's an idea more than a person.
Yeah.
That as long
you
as
take the name
as long
Bond.
as you hear the name James Bond, you're going. It's just the name is the mystique of it.
Yeah. I don't know. You'd have to find the absolute right American, and I just
No, I'm sure
who
there are.
understands that it's like a family show and gets like the whole point of it. Because I feel like a lot of people misconstrue it all the time to be this huge, deep thing, and like, yeah, it gets really deep, but it's also like marketed towards kids too. Like, you're watching it with your family.
But I'm sure somebody's out there that could do it justice.
I thought they were looking at a female actor right now.
You know
Jodie
what?
Whittaker is the Doctor.
Yeah, we're talking
No.
Doctor.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was talking. I'm,
Oh, were
I'm
we
going back
going
to
into
Bonds. I went back to
Bond?
Bonds.
Well, we're talking Doctor Who.
Well,
It
who?
started as...
There's
gonna be
so
Bond.
many things. I don't know. I can't remember.
Well, no, they no, because remember there was always that rumor that Idris Elba was going to be Bond.
Right.
I don't
He
know.
should be.
I don't know where that rumor started.
You know what? My view on it right now is
He
they're
is-
not even going to look till after this movie's
No,
out.
he
They
come
could be
out.
rumors.
He came out and explicitly said he has no desire to be
It's too
James
bad
Bond.
he'd be good.
Oh, wow.
He
But
doesn't
Doctor
want.
Who, you have to remember, started out as a educational show. That's why the plots were always like historical based.
I was wondering why you were saying James Bond was a kid show. I'm
No,
like,
I was.
Oh,
I
yeah,
was
when they
still
blow
on the
that
Doctor
person
Who
Okay,
Who's
side.
no, you know what?
Talking about
I'm,
the-
I'm right there
listen.
with you because I was like,
yeah, okay, good. I
wasn't
thought not the only
marketed to
one.
kids, nor is it a TV
No,
show.
come on.
You know what it is with
All right, I'm
every
gonna
doctor
go.
is
I'm gonna go
always,
now.
whenever every doctor is going to leave, it's like, this show is over.
Yeah.
This sucks. It's like when David Tennant was going to leave, they thought about canceling the show. Then Matt Smith was more popular.
That's the
like
thing.
him as
I
much.
mean,
I don't know.
No, see, but he was more popular. You know why? Because I remember going to see the 50th anniversary thing at the show, and there were all these kids with, because I think he appealed to the kids and everything.
oh, Matt Smith.
Well,
Yeah,
yeah.
because he looked like a 13-year-old.
And he wasn't as edgy.
No, he was
wasn't.
like so
No,
goofy.
yeah, it's David Tennant.
Well, then
I
Chappelle
know.
became. I love David Tennant. Who
So do I.
doesn't?
I don't think anyone. How can you not love him?
I'm sure there's some people that dislike him, probably because they're jealous of how awesome he is.
True.
True.
No, but he's just awesome and everything.
You know, but
You
yeah.
see his Hamlet ever?
Yeah, oh my God, it's one of my favorites.
Isn't it incredible?
It's one of my favorites.
But actually, on the Doctor Who to Shakespeare thing, it was Billie Piper when she did her. What Jane Austen thing did she do?
Oh crap!
No, that one. I don't think she wrote
No,
that
yeah,
one.
I think that was Jane Eyre. But whatever.
Pride and
she-
Prejudice, Persuasion,
I think it was Pride.
Emma.
I think it was Pride and
I think it
Prejudice.
was Pride and Prejudice too.
It was the one that all the snooty British critics hated because it was. I loved it. It was the best Pride and Prejudice I'd ever seen.
and I
Because
like
it
Penny
wasn't.
Dreadful with her
Penny
in it too.
Dreadful,
Isn't that
yes.
incredible?
She's
Penny
so good in
Dreadful's
that.
amazing.
It's amazing.
Did you like how they ended it too? They decided
Yes,
just to end
it
it.
made
Yeah.
sense.
Yeah.
It made sense.
I was sad, but
They
it
wrapped
did
it up
make
Yeah, it
sense.
was
nicely
really sad.
because
She
if
had
they
to
would have
go.
gone on
I
a
love
third
Ava
season,
Green too. You know,
it would have been.
Oh,
who shares a birthday with you? Birth date.
What?
She does birth date.
I
Ava
can,
Green
I
does
can,
same day as
I
hers.
can enjoy my birth date even more.
That girl's something else.
Well,
man.
everybody does.
a
Everybody
little
throws
nuts.
fireworks
I love
for
her.
it. One thing I was going to get into and we haven't talked about, because we talk about whatever we want here. We might
yeah.
talk about like bubble gum.
You should have seen
after
what we
a
did
while.
last episode.
But one of the things I got into because of Neil was reading this about, I've learned about Tori Amos.
Yes.
yes.
And did you know he rents, like he stays at her house sometimes in
Yep.
London? I guess it's over the water. That's
If I was friends with Tori Amos, I'd be hanging out with her all the time. Are you kidding me?
oh yeah, I would too. But that's how I discovered her music. First thing for him, because he's talking about Tori and everything, and then you hear about her lyrics.
She references him in so many songs.
Yeah,
They like cross-reference. I'm not even sure which came first. Was it the album Strange Little Girls or one of the songs? And then there's a short story in, I think, Fragile Things called Strange Little Girls, and it's got some of the lyrics in it.
Oh, cool.
I don't know which came first.
And then
I
there's
really like
also
that.
there's like a graphic novel where they just do Tori's songs like illustrated in comics and everything, so you know that. But in terms of her work, I have to admit I have not, like her most recent stuff, I've not really gotten into as much.
I enjoy it. I'll never be as into it as I am with like her earlier work, but I think I really enjoy it. She has her daughter singing on some of her songs now, and her voice is really haunting and beautiful.
I mean, I have the Holiday album because I have my weird guilty obsession with Holiday albums.
Winter Graces.
Yeah.
I enjoy that one.
I actually have a thing where I get every year I have to get one, even if I know it's terrible. I got the old 97s one this year. But I have Amy Mann's as a favorite of mine.
Oh, that's fun.
That's a good one. But the other one,
The
like...
Bright Eyes one is good.
Yeah.
If you,
Oh, geez,
Yeah.
surprise.
Oh,
there.
wow.
You got to reference it. I'm stunned. But there's also that CD with all the Neil songs inspired by that, too.
Yeah.
And everything and everybody. So that's how he touches people. With Tori, though, he really goes on.
Mm-hmm.
But I like her early albums. What's the one with Hey Jupiter on it? I always forget the name of the album. I can see a
Oh,
picture
it's one of my
face. And
favorites.
of course, us being the Carnival, I didn't bother to go pull it out and looking it up.
the one with she's got the pig on the cover, right? Sitting in the
She's
rocking
sitting
chair?
there.
In the
Voice
there's
for Pele.
Yes,
Voice for
yes.
Pele.
Sorry.
Oh, I love that one. It's so good. Has some
Yeah,
of my
God.
favorites.
I could not have done that video, though, playing with those rats and stuff.
Doesn't she have a snake in it too?
Yeah, that one I definitely couldn't have done that part.
Amazing.
But I like Spark.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's a great
Oh, yeah.
song. Professional
And I
Widow.
would hear friends of mine who's like, I always play Winter every year. Oh, I don't like her lyrics or whatever. Like, how can you not like that song?
Yeah.
Or cover songs, too.
Yeah.
Because actually, I like her. That's actually for Tom Waits. I think she does a better version of Time because he doesn't have Tom's voice.
I love that song. Yeah, it's so good.
It's so Waitsy, and her Rattlesnakes.
Real Men is one of my favorite covers by her. Joe Jackson's Real Men.
Did she do an Eminem song or a Slayer
Yes,
song?
97
Yep.
Bonnie and Clyde.
Yep.
Yep.
And Slayer.
Because the first time I heard it, I was like, what is this?
It's so
It terrified me to no end to just listen to her talking about it. And I was like,
She gets one of those where she can get. It's amazing how some artists like that can just bring their personal stuff out, like Me and a Gun, and actually bring this out and talk about it. And I remember being involved, like with her Rain stuff. Mm-hmm. And I think she got that, and I'm sure that's still going.
Yeah.
yeah.
But I wonder how much Neil gets involved with her and stuff like that now too.
They're really good friends, I guess. I mean, still.
I think so.
Yeah.
Last I knew.
Yeah, because he's actually married to one of the. Oh, geez, now I forgot. The Dresden Dolls.
He is.
Yeah.
Yeah. Amanda Palmer.
Yeah,
Oh my gosh, they're married?
yeah.
Neil and
I
Amanda.
did
Yeah.
not know that.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
Because I remember like seeing some of their songs, going, "What the heck is this?" And I bet Neil's writing some of this.
Wow.
But the one thing with him too, what do you think of his? Have you read his children's books ever?
I mean, technically, Coraline and the
Coraline.
Graveyard
I
Book,
don't know
those are
about
both
Coraline. I know it
children's
is technically.
No, it's
Technically.
technically a children's book. It shouldn't be, but it is.
Oh, it's like some of those good ones, like by Roald Dahl. Well, the kid's nice now; he's going to get eaten.
That'll learn him.
But something like that. But the one I think I sold my dad for a bowl of goldfish. And the Wolves in the Walls.
I think I read The Wolves in the Walls back when I was first reading them.
I think he had one Blueberry Girl. I think, which I didn't
Honestly,
read.
that just sounds like a Tori Amos
Yeah,
song.
It
really.
does,
Yeah,
though,
it
doesn't
really
it?
does.
Doesn't it sound like Cornflake Girl?
Cornflake Girl,
Blueberry
Raspberry
Girl, they go
Swirl. Come
together.
on.
Oh, Raspberry Swirl, Cherries from France,
Killer
from
Tomatoes
Songs
Take
from a
Friends.
Librarian.
Yeah.
Dude, don't look at me. I got nothing on Tori Amos.
You don't?
Yeah, Neil is referenced in like 7 or 8 of her songs.
Yeah, so many of them. And probably more if
Probably
you
more,
pay
yeah.
attention.
Well, sometimes it's hard to understand her
Yeah.
a little bit.
Because half of it seems like meandering nonsense, and then you're like, oh, like, no, I feel what you're talking
So
about.
like our
Yeah.
show.
Like,
Three
yeah.
quarters of it is meandering nonsense. And then You might
It always
feel
comes
something.
back to Doctor Who with guests, no matter what. Somehow I always manage to
Except
bring
when I'm
back.
not on the same page and I'm talking about James Bond.
Yeah.
You all are talking about.
Then all of
Doctor
a sudden he
I think everyone was talking about James Bond. It was
he
just
morphs
me.
into Daniel
It's just me.
Craig next. The Doctor turns into Daniel Craig.
No thanks.
Yeah.
I wouldn't.
Yeah.
I wouldn't want that.
Who. No.
I remember a long time ago when we were doing a Doctor Who one, I think Susie was on it.
Yeah.
I said that there would be two people I would pick for Doctor Who, the next Doctor. One of them would Sir Daniel Day-Lewis,
Oh yeah.
because to see him method act the shit out of Doctor Who would be amazing. And then I said something, and everybody, I think a lot of people, not just on the show, but a lot of people I've mentioned this to in my other life, got on my case about it. I said Seth MacFarlane.
No.
Just because, hold on, now hear me out. Science fan, science fiction fan, and when he needs to, he can take it seriously.
That's true.
Well, remember Marissa's
Yes.
selection,
I've never
though?
seen it, though.
Because he's
Marissa's
never had
selection was
to need to.
Jason Momoa.
I don't know about that one.
No, I mean,
I had to go with her to see Aquaman. And like, why are we going to see this? Well, gee, I know who I would pick, probably. You might be able to guess who I might be able to pick who's English, who might be female, who I might pick for...
Huh.
You will never guess this one.
Judi Dench.
Jakaris.
Wait,
duh.
Judi Dench?
Did you not get that immediately?
Oh, did you
Sorry,
make a game of? Did you
my
commit
brain.
a
Yeah, I
Game of
remember.
Thrones?
No, I heard this
Something
reference.
about
This horrible
what's her
reference
name?
to me.
Danielle?
This horrible reference, though. One time we're talking
Danny
about
Reese.
movies on here, and it's somebody mentioned Terminator films, and I said, "Oh, I've seen Terminator Genesis a bunch of times," and all I hear is, "Oh, gee, I know why."
Was that a Game of Thrones thing?
Yeah.
Pass.
Yeah.
Probably.
Yeah, pass.
But there's so
Sorry,
many,
universe, don't
again,
like
I think
it.
it's the same thing as Neil's stories in Doctor Who. Is you can pick anybody and do anything with them.
Well, that's the
Yeah.
and that's the one thing people have missed. If you have great writing behind it, you could get a half decent actor and they're going to shine.
It's not only
Yeah.
that, but his background characters are all really good, where it's not
Right.
to just cardboard. And I'll give a really good example. One of my favorite comics, and I like the series too, is Lucifer.
Yes.
And where did this come from? If you ever read his comic, the Mike Carey book,
Yeah.
now it's a lot different from the show.
Yeah.
But Tom Ellis is perfect. I
It's-
think is the character.
That's the thing. It's one of the few comic shows, regardless of it, that I've actually enjoyed and kept with.
And there's 6 Degrees of Doctor Who, where there's rumors about him being the Doctor.
I would buy that. He's good.
But the series is really different. It's got Neil's prints all over it, and Mike Carey writes it. But you think this is just a character, because Lucifer pops up in DC Comics in different guises, but this is the one from season. Well, basically, he's not a bad guy in a way.
No,
he's just
he's-
sick of being in hell.
He's what the
Wants to go away.
He's what really the devil would have been. He's not evil. He's just.
Yeah.
He's Crowley.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah, and he just says, "I don't want to do this anymore." Then what's God do being so nice? He tosses a couple angels down to run hell.
And that's the thing. And the casting is good. The acting is good. It's just a fun show. And he's a smartass in it. And it's hilarious. Because Lucifer would have been a smartass because he knew he could get away with it. But, I mean, what were some of the other comic shows that I've tried have failed? iZombie was a miss for me. Preacher. Nope.
Preacher's awful. I love the actors. I have to say this. I love the actors. The
I'm
show
gonna-
is so badly done. It's so badly
I'm going to
written.
piss off the internet again, but I tried it. I was like, no.
It's just
All the ones that were ever on the CW.
Well, I like Supergirl.
No.
I liked Supergirl.
Oh, Supergirl
for
for
like
what the-
2 seasons, and
What-
then it got weird.
I was going to say, which Supergirl? The one that actually aired or the one that was on for half an episode? And then they shit-canned it. Oh, no, that was the Wonder Woman one.
No, there's a real still running Supergirl.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
No, does
why?
anybody still watch any like heroes kind of shows right now? I'll bring Caitlin because she was going to be
I'm
on
watching
it.
Preacher still,
She liked
sadly.
Legion.
I had heard I would like Legion.
Are we counting like Jessica Jones and?
Yeah, all the
Anything,
Netflix
sure.
crap.
I like
It's whatever
Jessica
God does
Jones.
his show.
I like them.
I like Jessica Jones.
No, you can like them all you want. I thought they were just terrible. And the thing is, I love Kristen Ritter.
Yeah, she's
She's
great.
amazing.
She's great.
But I just could not get into
Well,
that
with
show.
Preacher, in terms of, I remember when that comic came out.
That comic is amazing.
Yeah.
And I'm looking at this comic and what the heck is this? Have you ever read it?
No.
Basically, it's Jesse Custer, and he's got the word of God, so if I told you to stand on your head, you'd stand on your head. And there's one of the best scenes in it. A guy pulls a gun on him. He's like, well, I'm going to get you. What's he say? Miss. And then he told one guy to go fuck himself. You don't want to know.
Yeah.
Oh, I can infer.
But the thing is, he's got this family of rednecks. And they do all these disgusting things.
Isn't that weird how that and
Yikes.
deep religious beliefs kind of go together now and then?
And he's got a vampire named Cassidy. That's his
Best
that's the
character
best
ever.
character. You could play him.
I have cosplayed.
And he's got Tulipo. And they got Tulipo hair.
But yes,
who's also an amazing character.
but that comic insanely good. That
And
TV
then they have
show,
Ass Face, who's a guy
Arsehole
who...
Face, yeah. But,
who's
they
the guy-
did a great job on the TV show there,
Oh,
guys.
it's so terrible.
Well, he said, unfortunately, that was based on a real person who shot himself after Kurt Cobain and ended up. If you've never seen, he's sort of disfigured and he mumbles because he can't talk. But it's just a real graphic comic too.
Oh, the comic!
Like,
oh my God, one of the best
but it's
out there.
incredible too. And it's Garth Ennis who can be sort of rough. He wrote Hellblazer before that.
Scrappy Irish guy.
Yeah. Who used to, if you wanted to get an autograph from him at a show, you had to bring him a beer. He liked Anchor Steam.
Oh my God. I'm
Really?
gonna start doing that. Like, if you want to talk to me after a show, bring me a beer.
Christmas, I will.
Good idea, eh?
Okay, that's.
I'll send
but he
one
said
out.
A cider.
what he
to be
did, what
honest.
he said. The thing is, like, he would have a trivia question for his comic if you wanted to win some signed art or something.
Oh, cool.
He said the way you're going to win is when I'm at a thing to enter, you have to bring me a beer.
Oh my God.
I'd be
I
in
know,
for
that's
that.
pretty great.
Yeah.
But then the other one is I have to bring up definitely is Good Omens.
Yes.
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 Again, the 10 degrees of Doctor. We have to do this like 6 degrees of Doctor Who.
Yep,
'cause who's
David
Good
Tennant.
Omens?
And back to David Tennant.
David Tennant.
Who you in that? And I was skeptical when I saw but I've heard it's really good.
It's
It's
amazing.
great.
That's the thing.
No, it's
When I
amazing.
saw the
It's
trailer, I was looking at it and going, "What abomination is this going to be?"
No, it's really.
It's great.
Because
Brilliant.
most every comic show, when I see the commercial, I go, "What abomination is this going to be?" And 95% of the time,
Well, yeah.
I'm correct.
One of the things from the book I love too, it just cracks me up. It's Monty Python-esque, where when they describe the Antichrist, and they just go, "The Antichrist, the killer is this little baby," and they go this long spiel every time.
They go through the whole thing
Yep.
and they show you the pictures of Satan and he goes through the whole name and then it's just like, there he is. Open the basket. Little baby.
It's a little baby.
And I guess Neil, he always said what they tried to do, he and Terry Pratchett, was they wanted to get a book burning campaign going. So if you see him and you
Burn
haven't
this
signed,
book.
he'll sign "Burn this."
No, if you see Neil, if you see Terry Pratchett,
then
run
you're
screaming,
doing something
run
wrong.
screaming.
He's a zombie at the moment.
Yes.
But it's a lot of him. But there's one that's really not known that well. It's called Neverwhere.
I own a
Yes.
copy. I've never read it.
We have true fans.
I got
The
nothing.
real version, or because I got the real, because what they actually did to it, and again, I hate censorship. Why do they have to do this for people? But there's a British version and an American version of the book.
There's At Swim has one as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
UK version and
See, I don't get it. Our humor isn't that much different, and our sensibilities really aren't that much different.
I don't know that it's a humor thing so much as like we can market this better if
Yeah.
it's like kind of framed in a certain way.
Well,
Perhaps.
good old Cockney. For a while, I was doing like, Barney Rubble, Trouble, all the way these guys do this. And stuff like that, but just they figured Neil said you wouldn't get it so English.
But
It's
the
like one of
problem
those
is, even
things.
if you, in England, if you specifically did something with Cockney, the majority of the country wouldn't get
unless
it.
you're Cockney.
Right, but that's a very small portion of the population.
But I can be honest, when I was in London last time, I've been around British people here a lot. I was in one bar, shocks, I know, sorry. But, yes, I was in one bar, and I remember I had the highlight of my life where these British guys, these soccer thugs were out, and they're looking at me and they're drunk, and they see my friend, and they look at her and go, you're attractive, and then they look at me and go, but you are beautiful. And that was great. But anyways, I had a problem understanding them. Like, in terms of, like, when I'm ordering, and I'm thinking, I know these accents. If you look at Scottish movies a lot, they will put subtitles on.
Oh, they have
You
to.
can't
Yeah.
really understand
that
these
brogue is
things.
so
Yeah.
thick
Yeah.
sometimes.
But what'd you think of the series, if you've seen the series of Neverwhere, the BBC series?
I haven't.
well, I haven't
Oh, you haven't?
either.
No, I
It's
haven't.
Get it at the library. Well, you get it
I
at the
should-
library.
I'm not allowed to
Find
go to
it
the
online.
library.
Somebody get it to the
Yeah.
library and loan it to
It's
Alexis.
not great.
Yes.
It's really, in terms of production, it's like, good old BBC in the 80s.
Good old BBC.
Where it's got that charm to it, like Doctor Who, where that looks like the Snuffleupagus.
I'm sorry, but BBC for me, topped out at Are You Being Served and all those great ones. because that's all I got to see. Because I didn't
some
see.
good shows here.
Because I think by the time I was born, Doctor Who was on its hiatus.
Yeah.
Which is so weird. The longest running science fiction show in history, with
But it didn't happen for 30 years.
with a 28-year break in between. So sorry, guys.
So really, you haven't been running that long.
But
That's
still,
for you.
it is still around.
I like British sci-fi though.
So yeah. But when I was growing up, there was no Doctor Who on TV. So that's why I didn't get into it until much later.
And you probably saw like the new ones always when you saw them.
I remember, I think the first episode I watched was Midnight from season 4. Because I had no idea what was going on.
Well, then did you see the perfect tie in Neil's episode, Journey to the Mind of the TARDIS?
Journey to the Center of the TARDIS and the Doctor's Wife. He did that one too.
Yeah. And that's how the TARDIS is a female and is all in love with them. And he did an episode of Babylon 5 too.
Neil
It's
did? Which
perfect
one?
to him. The one where it's the Night of the Dead in this alien planet where the dead can come back.
Okay.
If you want to stay in one part of the...
All right, that makes perfect sense now that you said
Yeah.
that.
And of course, all
it
Neil
makes
has to do
perfect
is
sense.
he has to use Emily Dickinson. Parting is all we know of heaven and all we need is hell. And it's Neil.
Yeah.
But what
That's-
happens
now that you
is
say
there's
that.
aliens on the space station, and they just say, okay, we're going to honor their religious festival. Now the dead are going to come back. So if you don't want to meet them, go to the end of the ship.
Okay, bye.
And it's
I'd
just so
wanna meet
pure Neil, though.
I'm afraid of zombies. I don't like
Well,
that nonsense.
don't worry, they're not real.
Not yet.
No, it never will be.
God, I hope so.
Dude, we can't even... That's the thing. Everybody's so scared of AI, we can't even make a robot that can walk upstairs. You ever see that clip? That thing tries to walk upstairs and just falls ass over tea kettle. It's like, our phones don't work 80% of the time if the weather's cold. Oh,
Well,
yeah.
no, that's
We're
why-
terrified of artificial intelligence.
I'm not as afraid of robots as I am of,
Mannequins?
diseases that make people want to eat flesh.
Biological. Yeah.
Mannequins?
Yeah.
Clowns?
Autons.
No, actually.
Clowns?
Pennywise?
No, not clowns.
Huh?
That's different.
Pennywise.
You know that's different.
Well, Pennywise is disgusting. I mean,
Yeah,
it's scary.
thank you.
But yeah, I mean, no, zombies aren't going to happen.
I hope not.
We can't do it. We don't...
We can't do it intentionally. That's the problem.
We couldn't
If
even
we
do it
tried
accidentally.
To do it, we'd mess it up.
Couldn't
No.
even do it accidentally.
But what I like about
So
Neil
my
too
faith
now,
in
it's like
humanity runs
nice, it's really nice seeing somebody come from where he came to being so popular.
Yeah.
And I
Nope,
just always
absolutely.
wonder with him, he's another one like we didn't mention Anastasi Boys.
Oh,
If you ever read
Nazi
that
Boys,
Nazi
yeah.
Boys, I
Actually-
can't pronounce it right.
Weirdly, that's the book I have is the leather-bound edition of American Gods and Anansi Boys.
Oh.
It's like, the leather-bound with the gilded edges that'll give you a paper cut all the way
Yes.
down to your bone.
Yep.
Yeah. And it's always good
Those
to
are
see where he's going to
horrifying.
go, and you wonder where he's going to go in terms of what he's going to do next.
Yeah.
Would be there any character you'd want him to tackle ever, like in terms of could bring Daenerys back?
I don't know. I think a lot of his best work is kind of his most original
Yeah.
work that's not even trying to do anything for anyone, that's not trying to pander. That's why I love his short stories, because they're all just like self-created or self-interpreted myth.
Yeah. And remember the other character I like too, I wouldn't mind if they did a series on him, is Hob Gadling. His immortal.
Oh, yeah.
He's
the
in
one
love
the...
with life.
Yep.
And I love the thing where he goes, he's a young boy, and he sees a sea serpent, and then he's still around. He just loves life too much to die.
Wow, I can't imagine that.
What drugs is this kid on?
The best ones.
Apparently, God.
Yeah, but he's always around because he's a colonial. He makes a bet with them. It's in one of his shorts, one story. He makes a bet, like, I'll meet you, and there's a story about the devil and meeting in a pub every year.
They meet every year, yeah.
But he says, okay, I'll do this, and you get tired of it. But he never gets tired of it.
Oh, I vaguely remember this.
I'm going to have to look for that one. That one does not
I mean,
ring
he
a
even
bell.
pulls out the Emperor Augustus in one story.
Of course, because why wouldn't he? Oh, speaking of, because his love of history and all that,
Yeah.
can you imagine a collaboration between him and Bernard Cornwell? It'd be different. Get some Viking action, or the Saxons. That'd be
Could you
Sounds cool.
imagine if he did a story where they kill Jon Snow and bring Daenerys back?
No, because
No,
Game of
I
Thrones. No, because
You see poor Drogon. What's going to happen to him? He's an orphan.
Well, I
It's a
don't know.
dragon.
Maybe the big fat guy with the train conductor's cap will get off his ass and write something
The dream.
rather than ending the show and just saying, "Here's how I was going to end the series. You do what you want." So
Right.
I don't blame him for the horrifyingness that apparently was the final season of Game of Thrones, because he gave
He was
Hollywood.
like, all right,
You give the thumbs
He
up.
gave gave Hollywood open license to write it, which
Yeah.
is
just
a
finish it, dude.
swing and a miss.
Well, they get that's what
Yeah.
I really like too. But we talk about Neil, BBC, and everything, and they've adopted what I think is really good from the BBC, where the series are shorter and
Yes.
limited.
Yeah,
and you realize
right.
they can't
Like
do these.
We don't need
It's
29
like you do
episodes
with
of a
theatrical
series.
work. You
We
don't
need
pull it
8.
over and do a sequel, unless it's D&D. Huh? Plug.
That's why all the people who are like, well, yeah, why don't they make a season 2 of Good Omens? And I'm like, why don't you shut your mouth?
Why don't they make a season 2 of Good Omens? Because season 1 is still warm. We haven't
Also,
even seen how
because
it's going to
season
do.
1 is the whole book.
Well, you know what they blew it with? The Terror.
Oh,
Because the Terror is a book, and it's about it's historical fiction where there's the Edmondson expedition, but they
No,
need a
it's
monster.
yeah. What it
And
is.
they
it-
did the first one. They finished it, but they're going to
Yeah.
continue it.
The story it's based off of the old failed polar expedition of the HMS
Okay.
the HMS Terror, and they were stranded in the ice in the Arctic. And the book is they ran across an Inuit monster that stalked the crew and ate them. I think it was the Franklin expedition
Yeah.
or the Shackleton
Yeah.
expedition. But then I was like, okay, they wrapped it up, and then I see season 2 coming soon. I'm like,
Don't.
what is
Well,
season
American
2?
Gods is going to end after the
Yeah,
second
they have already
season, right?
announced third season. They're ending it.
Yeah.
But
I think it's very.
but the
What else
Mm-hmm.
did I hear was ending after its next season? And I thought, good, thank you. Oh, The Good Place.
Oh,
Like, I like when.
I don't know why I didn't like that show. I watched the first season of it, but I don't know why. I was like, I'm really not impressed by it. And it sucks because the casting is really
Yeah.
good. Really good, but I was like, I'm really bored.
That's fine. I really respect creators that are like, this is where it ends,
Yeah.
and we've told the story we meant to tell, and we're
Yeah.
not
And
going
we're
to
done.
capitalize on
and
this
they did.
anymore.
I give DC Comics lots of credit. And the Vertigo line went out, and that's a shame because they put
Yeah.
on such really.
They had
Every
some great-
creator loved them too.
Yeah.
They really did, and they went out of business. But they told Neil, and we're not going to touch this. And he said, as long as we don't touch this, that I'll come back anytime you want and do it. Just don't let anybody touch it. Whereas Marvel, they did that to Jim Starlin and a lot of other people. They told Frank Miller with Elektra. He said nobody ever touched this, and they just gave it away.
Yeah, 'cause-
And now
Yeah.
but the one thing they are screwing Alan Moore over again with Watchmen, where they're doing
Oh,
they
yeah.
have they had all those standalones with other people writing them.
Yeah. Because as Marvel has proven time and time again in both the comics and the movies, they don't give a rat's ass about people.
But I don't. I mean,
'Cause they know.
I give Alan Moore credit, and he has to. I mean, I'm sure he makes some good bucks, but he won't let them put his name on movies. I would say, this sucks. I want the money. I don't have
it's
that.
like-
I don't have that good.
Like,
of a
how could you
principle.
let it happen? That giant check they sent me.
You can even say that.
I
you know.
bought a car that didn't break down on the highway today.
No.
That's why I let it
Well,
happen.
that's the story of Cliff Eberhardt, the folk singer I saw, where he's talking about how you hear Chevrolet ads, you're Burger King ads. That's me, and I go, yeah, I'm a folk singer, but I'm a folk singer who owns a house. You know, you have to balance
Yeah.
that with
Man.
principle.
Exactly.
I mean, some stuff you don't want to ever do.
You know,
with
he
some
goes
stuff.
up like, how can you justify doing this? Like, well, I'm enjoying living in my nice big house that you guys bought me.
Yeah.
No, but it's very nice having you on.
Yeah,
Hope that's
Thank
fun.
you.
Coming back.
That was fun.
And everything else.
Coming back
And we
to
have
the
our
studio
special
rather
guest
than
who
us
did
going
not
to see
talk
you.
at all. Don't let her take your hand
I don't mind. I really don't
No.
tell you. Yeah.
and everything.
I was going for the visual pun.
Where are
Once
the
on
2 pennies?
podcasts.
And I have my Willow Rosenberg thing she's next to at home, of
Oh,
course.
yeah.
And I don't have a Daenerys one yet. Shock of shocks.
You don't? I'm
No.
surprised.
I get Jon.
I have a Tyrion.
Tyrion's the best character.
I have, a-
yeah.
I have a Pennywise.
I have a Pennywise
So
too.
do you.
With the
I-
boat.
I don't remember. Yes, I have the boat, and I have the Bob Ross with the palette.
Oh,
that one I
nice.
support.
With the palette.
Well, you were
instead of
lucky,
the red
Alexis,
I
one.
have
because
Fury from your
we had
eyes.
one guest. We had a murderous clown as a guest in studio.
I would kick down the walls. It would be over.
You don't want to
You'd
sign
have
picture.
no more podcast.
And no
He's
more
Relic
walls.
or
I'd
Chaos the
start
Cloud.
snapping things.
Jesus God.
Well, he
That's
scares
terrible.
So I'm
people.
fine.
Believe
Yeah,
it.
you're good.
So
Believe
I'm
it.
fine.
Believe it.
That's good. Okay, yeah, but he's an interesting character. But I remember getting him to sign a picture for a band I knew, and Amanda just says, "Oh, thanks."
Yeah, he was an interesting cat, and he decided that he was going to stalk me at a show once.
Well, you see,
But he couldn't get me.
That's even worse.
Because the worst part is he told me he was going to stalk me.
You never tell.
So my head was on a swivel the entire
Right.
time.
He would do scare camps where they'd get like a guy with guys. Oh, we're not scared. They duct tape them to trees and stuff.
Awful.
Yeah, duct tape to a tree, throw him in the bed of a pickup.
That's freaking
No.
terrible.
Yeah, well,
Can you imagine agreeing? Because I told him, I said he actually wanted us if he didn't
I'd have
want
done it.
to come down there. I said, I'm not grabbing
I'd have
anybody
done it
or
in a heartbeat.
I don't care if they consent. I'm not grabbing a woman ever.
No, they never went for the women, only the dudes.
Still.
Still.
Still,
I
I'm not
do it.
putting
Oh,
my
you
hands
kidding
on
me?
it.
Some people, especially if I don't
wouldn't-
like their attitude, they deserve to be scared.
I wouldn't sign up to get duct taped to a tree.
No.
Sorry.
Well, no,
pass.
well, that's the thing, you know. Don't go if you don't want to do it because they make
Perfect.
you sign releases.
Exactly. I'm not doing it.
And it's like, well, I'm not signing this. Okay, have
But
a
I'll
good
say
day.
there's like a weird question to end this with, sort of, and come back again, and we'll get you at your shows and everything. We'll do something fun.
Yeah,
It's
we'll come
fun.
back to the theater.
But I always think about it's coming up already. Halloween, everything's coming up so fast. What's really the appeal of all that stuff to people? Because I know you love it, I love it.
You get to be weird, and nobody.
Well, I do that all the time anyway.
Well, I know, but you don't get weird looks. People
What
are
if-
just like, "Oh, okay."
Really?
What if
It's-
people
never
like
been out
me
with
do
me,
just
have
be
you?
normal for like a month? Get my Sarah Palin button out.
Oh God.
Yeah, you've never. I was actually several people talked me out of. I was going to New Orleans for Halloween a few years
Oh,
ago,
yeah.
which I will never do again because New Orleans is literally.
Me and MJ, we have to. There's this point.
I've
we
been
were
there for Halloween.
we were at Ann Rice's, not together. We were at Ann Rice's Halloween. Probably before I knew you. We were at Ann Rice's Halloween party. She sacrifices a watermelon.
But
Yes.
regardless, New Orleans is literally a toilet. Depending on
A
what day,
beautiful toilet, though.
Like a gold.
depending
toilet.
on what day of the
I
week
like
you are,
the
the street
history of
smells
it.
of something horrifying.
And I did
That's
enjoy
a lot
that.
of places. New
yeah,
York.
I'm not going to
What's
New York
amazing
either.
about her party too is like it's open to people.
But-
And it was just, I thought it was really fun. And now, who can't take that seriously when you got to do a
Right.
sacrifice of watermelon?
But
I mean,
my
come
initial
on.
costume idea was Jason Voorhees, with the machete, and it said "No Lives Matter." It was right at the height of the Black Lives Matter thing, and I was like, "That's really funny because he didn't discriminate; he killed whoever was in front of him." People, oh, that's offensive, and I'm like, "Man, I really got to get this shirt now."
Oh,
So, listeners, what do you think? Is that an offensive shirt, or are you Googling it right now and looking to buy one?
I don't know. But Halloween, it's all fun. I think that's what it is. You can
Yeah.
do what you want.
That's
You
it.
get to
you
go
get to
to
be
the
somebody
extremes
else.
of
It's
your
fun.
weird, and
Yeah.
nobody's like.
It was fun
"Ah,
until it was
creepy."
ruined by adults.
Yeah, you never know. You know,
Commerce.
Well,
know what? If you
adults
had-
/
Commoners?
commerce.
Commerce. No,
if
commerce.
you had
you
fun
think
doing
you
this,
said?
you
I
want
thought you said
if you
commoners.
feel like it and you had
Commoner.
fun doing this, you're
Peasants.
always welcome. If you want to come back in October and talk about Halloween and scary stuff,
Can we dress up?
Yes,
Yeah,
absolutely.
please.
I'll film. I have camera, as we've proven with the
if you
D&D
like,
thing.
okay,
We'll
we'll
film
plan
it.
one for October, and then we can also talk about like future stuff and everything. But plugs.
Yeah, what are you
anything.
plugging?
What's
What
coming
do
up?
you got?
Anything?
I plugged in my computer this morning.
Oh, for the love of hell! You missed my horrible pun earlier.
Yeah, you.
It physically hurt me.
Don't we? Yeah, we
okay.
have a
I
show
do that to
coming
a lot
up
of
in
people.
December.
In December, yep. Ruslana and Yelena by William Shakespeareakov, the great Russian writer. It's a modern Russian take on Romeo and Juliet.
Oh, that'll be upbeat.
And then everybody dies at the end because that's what Russian writers do.
Of course. Well,
And
and
Shakespeare.
Shakespeare, tragedy.
They have like Anton
it really
Chekhov
goes
writes.
together well.
Anton Chekhov writes a song called "The Drury Story." Oh, thank you.
There's always a gun on the wall, and you know it's going to happen.
Exactly.
So
Yeah, I like Russian writers, so they're real.
There'll be links below. What is it? DVC.
DVC, yep.
And
At
if
the
we have,
Muck-
we'll do
at
it.
the
If
Muck
you want to
again.
come back and do a Halloween one in October, you can be our
Yeah.
Halloween guest this year.
Sure.
we'll get weird.
No
Yeah.
clowns, I promise
No,
you. Okay?
I'm not afraid of clowns. Just that
I
one
cannot in
specific
I cannot
clown.
in good faith make that promise.
No, you would be afraid of this one.
No,
believe
this
me.
one will show up dressed as Pennywise. That's
No, I don't think she will.
We'll make sure we get a picture.
you don't
Yeah,
know.
we can
No,
do
I'm
dress
pretty
up.
sure I do.
And we also have another. It's coming. The second D&D.
Like,
I'm excited.
She's looking like, I'm glad I'm busy that night.
hey, you remember? The first time I played D&D, that time. The last time I
Really?
played D&D, that time.
So I don't have to know how.
Oh,
to
hell
D&D?
No.
That was the
No.
idea. And one of the guys we had on there, Tommy, he's like a rabid player now.
Yeah.
He's never played before. He's like playing all the
So-
time.
I don't know if I can afford that.
It's hella fun.
I've played once. And I'll play. The next time I play will be when we do it again.
That's
and
what it
then-
was for. The idea was we had some people who played before and some who didn't, just to get the experience down.
Okay.
And then I'm going to
If
pitch
you
that we
wanted
do a
to,
different game too.
Oh, cool.
What game?
At some point, some other game.
Oh.
I mean, there's shitloads of board games we could play.
Yeah. Great games out there.
Candyland.
Cards Against
I
Humanity.
used to play that. Yeah, Uncle Wiggly. That's the bunny. Not sick. It's a bunny game. It's about a bunny rabbit.
Sure.
It's like a children's book.
Rabbit.
It sounded disgusting.
It's
I know.
about a rabbit.
But yeah, we'll do
eh?
that. We'll dress up for Halloween. I need
won't.
to see this. It'd be
will.
fun. That's cool. And the other thing I want to we almost had our dear friend Caitlin on. Hi, Caitlin. Hi, Kate.
Yeah, hello,
and we'll have
Caitlin.
this out
Sorry.
tomorrow. And she's doing a thing for IDW. It's a really, really big book next year for a comic. It's a how-to book. Like if you have OCD, how to cope with it, how to do this. It's all these really great artists.
See,
Jill
I hadn't heard,
Thompson.
you told me the
Great,
plot.
Mike
You only told me of its
Allred,
existence.
and they're doing a GoFundMe thing to it. If you want to contribute, it's called Hey Amateur, and there's some really, really good gifts. And I have to say myself, I don't have anybody do things that I don't do for the most part. It depends. But because I wanted to get a signed copy of Jill Thompson's How to Carve a Pumpkin. So I contributed, and that was one of the gifts I got.
Message me that so I can look that up.
And we'll put it up on our site and everything. It's just called
Yeah.
Hey Amateur, and I get these
Hey
emails
Amateur,
from
yeah.
Shelley Bond every week telling me how it's going. And it's going to be out in February.
Oh, hell, I'm
and it's going to
contributing
be
to that.
all these people in it are just incredible. And if you've never seen Caitlin stuff, it's really
Coyotes.
awesome.
That is all I have to. That was her comic that really launched her. It was an 8-issue run for what? Image?
Yes.
Wow.
Coyotes, very, very cool artwork.
What's it called?
Coyotes.
Coyotes.
Plus,
Eight
she
issues,
promised
very,
me
very,
if she
very
ever does a Game of Thrones book, she's going to have one of Daenerys' dragons eat me. So I love you, Caitlin. So, and she's in New York now. We miss her here.
We're all in New York, man.
And if that's all for everybody, I have, she's in New York City now.
That's better.
Oh, different.
Yes.
New York State Mine.
Different.
Yes, it is. But one thing I want to do, we have a very, very special treat. We had a special guest here who didn't talk at all, but I have a really good treat for everybody for the end for music here. I met Tony Levin again a couple weeks ago, and I've seen him many, many times. So I'm talking to him, and I said, Tony, mind if we play something from your new album and promote it? So Tony, if you don't know Tony Levin briefly, he's been on over, you're looking like when you're young.
Oh, I almost hit the microphone.
What is
Sorry,
it?
that was a
How
totally
many
separate
albums
thing.
would you say he's been on?
500.
I thought it was closer to 1,000.
And he's still touring. He's still everywhere. He's going to put a 5-disc set out, limited edition, only 800 copies of it. You have to go to his Stickmen site. Stickmen's like a bunch of prog. But his latest album's called Prog Noir by Stickmen. And I said, Tony, can we play a track and everything? He's like, sure. He's a nice guy. He tells the story about Peter Gabriel working with the Monkees, where Peter Gabriel was having apes do stuff. And he's just interesting. But I'm going to play the first track. It's called Prog Noir, surprisingly, off his album.
Prog
So
Noir.
that's it. And thanks a lot, everybody.
Yeah, thank you. We'll
Yeah,
see you
thank
guys
you.
next time.
Always fun to be here.
What are we going to dress up? That's going to be funny. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Nice.